I am Shanice Miller, and welcome to my podcast, Do Less. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Do Less Show. I'm your host, Shanice Miller. Thank you for joining me today. I'm bringing on Melissa, who went through so much in her design business, she almost gave up and quit her business altogether. And I wanted her to share that with you. I've been in this situation with really wanting to quit my business, so I know how hard that is. And you might be in this exact situation right now. So I wanted Melissa to share with all of us who might be in that place to understand that there is a path and a way out. On today's episode, we're going to talk about how sometimes a business that you've started no longer brings you joy. Sometimes it begins to drain you. And what do you do when that happens? But what if doing less allowed you to still have the income from that profitable business that no longer sparks joy in you without you having to do the work so you can focus on what you really want to do? So, Melissa, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, hi, my name is Melissa Burkheimer, and I am a conversion design director over at my company, Melissa Burkheimer Studios, which is a virtual design agency where we focus on both launch strategy and conversion design and branding and all the things you need to not only have a successful product launch, but also sustain the after launch glow.
Well, that's excellent. And that's really exciting. I know there are so many business owners that could benefit from those particular services. Now, I remember the last time that we talked because I was a guest on Melissa's show a while back. So thank you so much for having me on there. But when we spoke, you were offering a different type of service and product than what you're offering now. So could you please kind of walk us through and tell us what sparked that switch? Why did you go from, tell us where you were before, what product you were doing, and then where you are now?
As business owners, I think that, we grow and evolve and change. And I don't know that people talk enough about this. So I'm so excited to talk to you about this more. And when I first started 12 years ago, I was doing freelance graphic design work for anyone who would pay me. And then through taking a bunch of online courses, I kind of landed in this thing 10 years ago, which is bananas to me that it's been that long, called sales page design, through those different connections. And so I specialized in sales page design and a little bit of launch management and launch strategy for, a good 7 or 8 years in the business, which means I was saying no to everyone else who came to me and said, I want a logo, I want a brand design, I want production work, I want this. And I was only doing sales pages. And I think it was a smart decision on some fronts. And now I have a whole new perspective on that, because in 2013, the industry that you and I are both in, where there's a lot of online entrepreneurs who have some type of a personality brand or a company where they are selling their expertise as either a service, a product, a course, a mastermind, an event, membership, you name it. They need someone to create things for them and do things for them. So I was the one who was doing that. And there weren't a lot of experts. There weren't a lot of technical options for people. So they relied on good old fashioned design and HTML programming, which I don't do HTML programming, but now there are a ton of tools available like Kajabi, Lead Pages, Instapage. I'm sure there's a million of them that I could go through. And there's a lot more designers who know how to design sales pages because there are people out there teaching it. It's become more of a prevalent thing. And what happened for me is I found a lot of the clients I had were bringing design in-house and they were hiring big internal teams. And so they were looking for a lower cost option, which is, again, fair. That's a business. I understand that. But then also the DIY movement with sales pages became really popular because, again, there were user-friendly tools that people had access to when they didn't have access to them. So I am very fortunate to have worked with some of the clients I had worked with, but I was just feeling like there was something more. And I was also doing launches and mentoring graphic designers. I ran several masterminds and accelerator, lots of different things there. And I knew for sure that the thing that always made me the happiest was the one-on work and doing the design. So I pushed pause on the service. And before I did that, I was having all these feelings of like, I feel like I could do so much more. That was kind of what the feeling was. And um it's a weird place to be in when people are looking at you and they like know you for something. And then I even hired a mentor, Sarah Ashman, who's like one of the most brilliant branding experts I know. She's very well known in the online space. And I was like, it's really great to talk to another designer who is kind of at a level where I would love to be at one day. I kind of consider her my peer, but like she's just like on a higher peer level than me. But I hired her for a clarity session just because I was like, I'm having these feelings and I want to like a break from the online space or the industry that we're in. And she was really confused. She was like, why do you want to do this? I need to go find the recording and like tell you exactly what she said to me, because the people who know me and understand what I'm doing understand the value that I bring to the table, whether that be clients or peers or other collaborators. They know and understand it. But what I was craving was to work on new services using the skills I had gotten over the last 10 years in new industries. And I was finding that as I was trying to break into these new industries, those people didn't know what a sales page was. They had no idea what a landing page was. And so, we kind of worked through a plan for me. She gave me a new title, and just like kind of a strategy as to how I could reposition myself. So what that led to was a lot of just like testing different things to see what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. So does that answer your question? Sorry,
Yeah.
really, really long answer.
I
Yeah.
love it. So first I want to go back and say, I love the fact how you got a mentor who was where you wanted to be.
Mhm.
I see so many people who will get mentors and it's just for something else that's not where they are. But the fact that you got a mentor that was where you wanted to be, that was wonderful. But what really baffled me was when the mentor told you, why are you trying to switch? That's very interesting. And that can be a very like unsettling feeling for the
Yeah.
mentee. So can
I
you tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more
So,
about that?
and I didn't feel unsettled with that. And one thing I'm going to also preface this by saying that I've realized about myself in the last couple of years is that I am someone who's never really listened when people told me what to do. And I'm also realizing that like having a coach or having a mentor in a big full capacity just does not work for me. I need to do things when I want to do them, how I want to do them. And I have enough experience now, I feel like, to know that, but that was a specific instance where something was working like on the front end, but it didn't feel like I wanted to do that. And so what Sarah was saying to me was like, I'm confused. Like and again, it would make sense. It's like if McDonald's says they weren't going to sell Happy Meals anymore, you know what I mean? Like we all know when you think of Happy Meal, you hear McDonald's. So when people think of sales pages, I'm one of the people that like, would come up for people. I'm not like this big, huge person, so I don't want to make it sound like that. That's weird. But I understand.
You have to give yourself credit because you've worked with
No, yeah.
really great and really big Lewis Howell. There were so many different people that I could rattle off that you've worked on their sales pages. And it's just incredible the work that you've done.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, but I also want to be like really humble and like not sound like I'm this like big wig designer, because I'm totally not. But I do recognize that I have a lot of great experience, but I also can recognize when like something's not aligned. So it's not like I'm saying I want to quit my design business. Well, I kind of did, but that's a whole other story for another day. But I'm just saying like what I've been doing has been great, but I'm ready for something new. And so it was like, again, Sarah, her specialty is like branding and like photo shoot direction, creative direction. And I'm really in the sales page lane. And the other designers say to me all the time, like, I hate sales pages. Like they're too long. And I'm like, I'm really good at them. And yes, they are long and daunting, but if you set up boundaries in your business, no matter what service you have, you can make it enjoyable. And so, again, it was really good that Sarah asked me that question, because like, we might have these thoughts and create these stories in our head where like things aren't as bad as like we think that they are. And nothing was bad. I just really wanted to challenge myself, if that made sense. And there's another thing I'll say is that I feel like I'm considered to be the top tier as when it comes to pricing and like value. And I don't even know, luxury is not the word I want to use, but that's what Sarah told me I did. So I'll use it because she said that, because she's brilliant. But I feel like I was on like people's like bucket list to like work with. Like I was on their list of like, one day I'm going to get you. But I feel like what I was giving people and the results that they were getting, I was only charging for the faucet, but I was giving them the whole kitchen sink. I was helping clients review their copy. We were going over like the curriculum of what they were going to be teaching in their program or course. We would come up with like the entire brand design for the product. I would basically work with their developer and help them with their launch team. I would give them ideas for like adding more profit to their launch. And overall, they also had a good experience. And that was always what kept clients coming back to me, especially like in those earlier sales page design years, like 2013 to like 2017, 18 is actually probably later than that. But that's when I would say like most of the clients who I worked with on a sales page, I did more than one sales page for, because what I said I was going to do when I said I was going to do it. And that's like a rare feature. Like I'm trying to hire a cleaner right now, and like I can't get it. There's very few people that will even text me back. Like, unfortunately, it's a thing. So my point
It
is
is a thing. It's
my
such
point
a thing.
is again, when Sarah said, or why would you want to do that? Like she was confused. It would make sense as to why she was confused. But again, I just knew that I was like meant for something more, and that I wanted to look at all of the other pieces in the launch, before the launch, after the launch, during the launch, like the whole thing. And if someone's calling you and like they're putting you in this box of a launch manager or a sales page designer or this, it's hard for people to view you as this other thing unless you tell them that's what you are, and you show them that's what your experience is.
Yeah. So you said earlier, and we are going to have to definitely get into this. You said you wanted to quit your design business.
Mhm.
What was the pain that made you want to pivot and quit that business?
Well, in all honesty, there were so many things that were happening, and this was like 2020-ish. I had a really good Q1, 2020. Even like April was pretty good because I had already had projects booked out. And this was like as the pandemic is starting. And when that happened, I had to kind of take a step back from the business altogether. God, there's so many things here to uncover, like to unpack, but I had to take a step back from the business because I had a dad he had like heart failure, kidney failure,
I'm so
anemic,
sorry to
like
hear
he
that.
had no, and that's okay. I appreciate that. But he was sick for a really, really long time. Like he lived with heart failure for like 30 years. So it got
Wow.
to a point to where he needed help, like more than he thought he could give. And so when we kind of were figuring out his end of life process, like I was the business person and my little sister was the medical person, because I don't like blood, I don't like needles, like I don't want to do that. But she ended up getting breast cancer. She's
Oh
fine now.
my gosh.
It did come back. So at this whole time, and then so I had to really take a step back from the business because I had to be kind of available to like go take him to dialysis if it was like icy out. Like I'm not going to have him drive. He could barely see. Like I took over, a lot of his business. I was filling his 19 prescription pills a day. My sister was doing that, but she, had her own stuff to deal with. So I ended up taking everything on. And again, I feel like there's some people who are really good at that for other people. And I think I did a good job, but it wasn't natural to me and it was hard. So what was going to go by the wayside? I wasn't going to like not pay attention to my kids or like my home. So I had to kind of step back from the business. Also at that time, so I was launching at the time a program called Conversion Design School. I don't sell it anymore. And I had done the launch like in December, and it did okay. Like I think I've had a total of like 15 people that bought the product. So I was like, okay, March and April, I'm going to be really active, or not March and April. So I went to an event in March. I was super active on social media. I like tripled my email list with Facebook ads with a sales page Trello board that like the page converted at like 60%. Again, I'm tripling my list. I'm doing pitch free webinars. I'm doing all these value add things to do a promotion and a launch for Conversion Design School. My cart was going to be open from June 2nd to June 12th. If you remember what happened that year, it was a very unfortunate thing. George Floyd was murdered. And so do you really think I'm going to open up my cart 3 days later?
Wow.
So again, I'm not saying that I opened the cart. I didn't even move through at the launch. Like I stopped the sale. I never even sold anything. Like I did like the free stuff I had planned, but I don't even remember what I did, but I definitely wasn't selling. And it
Wow.
didn't look like before that, again, I was just doing the things that I knew were different from the last time I had launched it to just get a bigger audience and just like help spread this message to as many people as possible. But when you have that momentum and like something happens, like it wasn't the appropriate time to launch. Okay. I also hadn't taken on any work. And so this was in June, and then in like June and July was when I had to start taking care of my dad. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to take a break from this. And it wasn't right to launch then. And I don't regret any decisions, but like when you look at your bottom line, sometimes that can have an effect on it. And that's an honest, thing. But again, when you look at where you want to be from like your values perspective and like what's happening in the world and what you can even take on, from a capacity, like it just wasn't gonna, like that launch wasn't going to happen. So I ended up having to just like take care of my dad. He passed away the following March of 2021. And then I did another launch in January 2021. I did the same thing happen. Like I had great lead magnets. I had 2 JV partners, added like a bunch of people to my list. And then that time I launched a different program and no one ended up buying it. I don't
Wow.
think I've told this story. So again, and I had 11 applications. Again, that's a whole other conversation for another day. So when you've got this experience and you're building this momentum and you're doing this work, and people will say, I need mindset coaching. People will say, I need this. I just had a lot on my plate, and there's no mindset lesson that can just like coach you when you've worked hard on something for 30 days. Like it was a lesson I needed to learn. It was, I think it was probably good that I didn't end up having sales, because I was like, you know what? No more sales page design service, no more launch celebrity, no more conversion design school. We're done with those things. I'm just going back to the thing that was tried and true in the business, which was my design services. So again, things happen in business that make us want to quit, but it wasn't because I didn't try. You know
Yes.
what I mean? And I think that there's going to be people that are going to listen to this and they're going to say, oh, she needed a mindset coach. Oh, you should have done this. You should have done it again. I'm like, no, like I didn't have the mental capacity for it. And then my dad ended up passing away March 30th of 2021. And from there, I was like, no, like I just wasn't doing anything for a while. And so it's not like I wanted to quit, but combined with the fact that I didn't want to like do sales pages anymore, and I didn't really know how to navigate getting out of that space, because I feel in the design space, which is a whole other conversation we can have, that like they only look at your portfolio. They don't look at your capabilities when it comes to, I feel like if someone can design a sales page, they can design a logo, they can design a magazine. Like the technical skills are not what you need. It's the ideas and the thoughts. And I feel like I bring more value with my ideas and my thoughts. The designs are just like a piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
combining all of those different things, I was just like, I don't know, like what is going on here. So yeah, that's like part of it. And again, there's much more to that. And I don't really think I've told that story before. So there you go. Yeah.
Melissa, I know
Yeah.
exactly where you are. I've been there as well. My father had a rapidly declining health issue too. And I was the one who had to take over and help out with those financials. And it did take a toll and it weighed heavily on my business. And seeing my father, who had this thriving $1 million business at one point in time, that I could see no longer survive without him being involved in that business, even though he had subcontractors and employees underneath him. It really opened my eyes up to see that I was running my business that same way. That, once I took that step back to help him out, then there were clients that were falling through the cracks. I wasn't able to do the same thing. And yes, when my father did pass away, I couldn't, you just don't have that capacity. And it's not a mindset thing. It's not something that you can get coaching over, because you have to just grieve. You have to sometimes just sit in it. And there is just no explaining that feeling of when a parent passes and how much that impacts your business, especially when you're the one who's doing the majority of the tasks, when you're the bottleneck or you're that person who is bringing everything together in your business. You can't really just take that time off, but you're forced to whenever you
Yeah.
are dealing with that sick parent, or you have a sick child, or your parent had passed away. That's when you're really faced with, am I really doing less for my business, or am I the business? And that's what I saw with my dad's business. That's what I saw in my own business. And I could see why you wanted to quit, because I felt that same way. I wanted to quit, and I quit that business. Um, Not necessarily quit, but I sold it. But it was that same feeling, that same emotion of, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. I don't have the capacity to be over here helping my sick family member, and to be running this business, and to be, you had kids. I didn't have kids at that time, but it was still dealing with other family members too. It's so much that goes into that, and so much that just, it hurts.
Yeah. And again, I think that, I want to be someone I'm not really looking for. I really had this 7-figure business dream. Not that I couldn't do it, but like, I'm just not into that right now. Like 2020 was also the year that like my first baby graduated. And
Oh,
he
congrats.
literally went to work full time like the week that March that they got out of school, and he's been working full time ever since. So it's not like that was even a thing, but I don't feel like I really got to properly process that. Like he moved out in August and everyone's like, are you sad? And I was like, no, but I was actually very at peace with my dad's death, because I knew how sick he was, and I just knew that he was not happy. And I truly believe that he willed himself to live, um, to watch my sister heal from cancer. You know what I mean? Because
Wow.
she was younger than me. She was like 32 when she got it, and it did come back this year, but she's cancer free right now. But
I agree with you though, because I
yeah.
felt like my father willed himself to live up until a certain point where he felt like, I have a younger brother, he felt like he was okay.
Yeah.
And so when he got on his feet, then it seemed like he felt like he could pass
Yeah.
away. And
But
so that's it.
again, yeah, and I'm glad that you agree with me on the mindset thing, because I think that there's all kinds of people who are going to come out and be like, clear your chakras and meditate this. And again, I believe in manifestation, I believe in money mindset, and I believe in all of it, but there's also real life. And I have people that work with me, but like I kept my podcast going the whole time. Like there were several, like after he passed away, I didn't publish an episode for 3 weeks, and there's been times where I've taken breaks before, but like I still have people that I'm paying to like do my podcast. I still have designers that help me with projects, and so the whole time I was still working. I just wasn't working at like the capacity that I'm at now, you know what I mean? So I think that I've been very lucky. Also, I want to like preface this with saying, like, I am married and I have a partner with a very steady job and benefits. So I was able to just like take a step back. Like some people wouldn't have that luxury. So I obviously had that luxury. And, we still have a 16-year-old at home, and he's a sophomore, but I feel like I have to be more present with him now than I did when he was 10. You know what I mean? Just because he's
Mhm.
in a lot of sports, and there's like, it's just a different world. And those kids, I think, experience the pandemic, and they're like kind of just trying to find their way back. Like, anyways, that's a whole, again, I feel like I'm opening up all these cans of worms, but yes. So personal things, business things, like I just wasn't feeling it. And also in my desire to move to the new fields, the work I was doing, because I was honestly applying for jobs to find something that, gave me something steady while I was, taking care of him, because I was teaching college classes at the time in addition to my business when the pandemic started. And then after that, they didn't really need me at the college anymore. So again, I was just finding that the industry in general, not the online space that you and I work in, they're not, you have to have the certain type of experience to get the roles that you want, even though you're more than capable of doing the work. And maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe my resume sucks. Maybe I just, there's a lot of people looking for jobs. So it was like, okay, how can I apply myself using the skills that I have? And so that really just led to a lot of testing. And like, I still showed up on social media with like my podcast, but I really haven't been super active up until this year, because I just wasn't ready.
Yeah. And that's really real, to not be ready after having so much change and transition in life.
Mhm.
And that how that impacts your business, because you cannot just operate at that same capacity. And I'm glad you said it like that, because that's what it is. You don't have that same capacity that you once had. I was always that person who could really work hard and throw out a bunch of different things, and I'm on top of everything. But when my father passed away, I did not have that capacity to be on top of everything. I had maybe 1 or 2 hours for me to do some work tops a day. But after that, I did not have any more time, any more energy or effort to really put towards things. So I knew I needed to take a lot of breaks during that time.
Mhm.
And I knew that I was glad I set myself up in that way where I could hand off and pass off a lot of the work with the systems that I designed to other people, so that I wasn't so involved in all of those day-to-days, and I could still have something going on and running when I couldn't necessarily do those things. But so what was the ultimate goal that you wanted to accomplish with the shift and with now your new offering brand design and opening it up where you once had it closed off?
Yeah. I mean, the goal really is like super simple. It's like do cool projects that create a lot of impact with cool brands. Like that is fun. But again, it's also like, okay, the thing I'm really learning to do is like say, I can help with this, this, and this. And I feel like for the next couple of years, I'll be forward facing. Like I'm still sales page design will probably always be a part of what I do. Like I did a website design this summer for a client, and like we've done 2 sales pages so far in addition to the web design. But again, it's all of the other things that go with the sales page that I'm really excited about. So really just kind of making a name for myself as these services expand in new industries, which, e-commerce, beauty, like clothing, like all kind, like I want to work with like all of them. I want to just really like expand and just, put my face out there and say, hey, I can help you with this. Let's make something, really cool together that's like not only going to make you money, but just like be sustainable in a way that you can do it.
And with all of the things that all of your accomplishments, everything that you've already gotten to with just the sales pages, I can see you going that far, getting to those levels, being able to have those brands that are really the bigger brands you're looking for. I think we talked a little bit offline about how you want to go after more corporations, do more corporate and e-commerce, and I can definitely see you doing that into that future.
Yeah. And I think too, I appreciate you saying that, by the way. I want to acknowledge that. That's super nice of you. And again, I think that this is all just a big test. And this is what I say now, like I have a summit going live summit that I'm starting to promote this specifically for designers. And like the thing I want people to like take away from this is like, do you want to do this? Do you want to build a sales page for this? Do you want to do this? You know what I mean? And so I have like my 2-year plan is to really just kind of fit in wherever I can on launch teams. And then possibly after that, I'll either launch my own physical product, or I may shift the business to be more of an agency model where we take on like the whole thing in-house.
And I
Uh,
like how you keep saying this is just a test, because sometimes when you ask someone, do you really want to do this? They have to go through that testing phase to see if they really want to do it. And then afterwards, it can be okay to pivot and go
yeah,
to a different direction and a different way of doing things. So I,
definitely. And I think if you look at the way that the world's working, like 10 years ago when I was designing sales pages, it's bananas that it's not quite 10 years. It's the year 2023 will be 10 years, but it was December that I actually got the gig. So let me be correct. Things were very different. And if we look at the people that I was working with at that time, I can tell you that the design services they were looking to hire people for were not brand design, were not web design. They were looking for sales page designers,
mm.
presentation slide designers, Facebook ad images, social graphics, and stuff like that, because they were testing and figuring out what they wanted to be known for. And they spent several years doing that. And so I understand, I think that that's a really smart thing to do, especially if you're like a service provider or like a personality brand. I think if you have a physical product, that process is not the way I would do it. I would brand everything first and then launch, because people are going to be like more attracted to your ethos than they will be your logo, if that makes sense. So I think that again, the way you're going to approach it is going to be completely different. depending on what it is.
Well, that is so excellent. I am glad that you are testing and still finding your way and moving and grooving into the place where it's going to most resonate with you, which is what I believe all of us entrepreneurs and business owners strive to do. We all want to find that place that not only makes us money, but also sparks joy inside of us and makes us just really want to be passionate about the work that we do and how we're doing it and how we're showing up in the world. So my last question that I do want to ask you, because I know we are running down on time, is I know I want you to do less since doing less has transformed my life tremendously. What can you do moving forward in your business starting today to do less?
To do less. I feel like I have a trick answer for you, like, because I'm in a place now where I'm doing more, but it's because I am rebranding myself. And that I think just takes a whole new mindset, and I'm showing up on social media more. So I think that I can do less by just using my planning skills and just like getting like clear on what's gonna go on social media what day, or what's gonna, like, I can plan my marketing better, just like not better, just more in advance than I have been, to do less, because it's gonna, like, all I have to do is actually apply the strategy instead of like thinking of the idea when it comes live. So I think that's something I can do, but I think I'm in a place right now where I have to do more because I'm rebranding, and that's a whole thing. So
Yes, yes. And I'm a big advocate as well that you have to know to a certain extent of your process before you're trying to hire somebody to do your process. So
yeah.
that's completely understandable. I am so much looking forward to your success. Now, Melissa, before you hop off, if people want to learn more about you, your services, helping them to rebrand and restructure their business, please let them know where to find you.
Yeah, you can find me on my website at melissaburkheimer.com. You can also catch me. I'm the most active on Instagram and even a little bit on LinkedIn. So I'm just Melissa Burkheimer on Instagram. It's Burkheimer. And then I look forward to connecting. Send me a DM and say hi.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Melissa, for coming on, and we will link all of that information into the show notes.
Okay. Thank you, Shanice. It's
Thank
been
you.
fun.
All right. Well, thanks again. It was such a pleasure. Listeners, please be sure to subscribe to the show, leave a rating and a review.